Hello my beautiful people, welcome to the next weekly general tarot reading with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and it resonates, hit that subscribe button. If you are already a continued subbie, you know I love you for it. With that said, if you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do so on the website address below. If you haven't got your Tribal Tuesday seat, you can do so on the link in the description box below. If you haven't got your Mindset Magic seat, you can do so on the link in the description box below. And the Retrograde Survival Kit currently has £10 off, so if you want to get yours, do so in the link in the description box below. And finally, your Purpose Alignment webinar for just £11 is on the 1st of February, so if you want to get your seat, check it out. With that said, I would like to bless all of my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So interestingly enough, when I went into my intuition today to seek out the message, and the layout again is slightly different, as you guys know. At the moment I'm just trying to figure out what the next sort of not so much a formula, but what the, you know, this is going to be the layout for the weekly general, and then for the sign videos, they're going to be slightly different as well, as you've already seen. But when I went into my intuition today, the message that I got for us for this week was like the old Spitfire jets from the old World Wars, and when I saw it, it was like this overwhelming sort of, it's time to take off. Prepare for takeoff, whatever that means to you. And for some of you, this really does mean that you are ready. This is about you being ready to launch into whatever it is that you've been working on, whatever it is that you have been holding back, whatever it is that you've been busy beavering away on behind the scenes. This is the week for you to get started. And I always say this, even if it is just that first step or that first cornerstone that you lay, you must lay it, because that sets the intention for the, it's the foundation that you then build on. You've got to start this week. So whatever it is that you're hoping to create, work on, a project you want to birth into the real world, now is the time for you to get started. It is time for you to take off. So with that said, let's have a look at the Destiny card for the week ahead. Ooh. Okay, and we've got the Tower card, right? So this is a week really where there could be big changes for everybody. It looks like there are big changes and also big realizations on the horizon. The fact that we've got the Tower card means that all bets are kind of off this week. My advice to you is don't be rigid in any way, shape or form. If there's something that you know you're supposed to phase out, if there's something that you know you're supposed to address, if there's something that you know you're supposed to remove from your life, the Destiny card is basically saying this week you will either jump or you will be pushed. It's kind of one or the other. Whenever you see the Tower card, I mean, in this deck it says that it's ruled by Mars, but this is a very Uranian energy to me. It always has been. And with the Tower card, it is that shocking sort of crazy realization that comes, and it's usually quite spontaneous. It's something that kind of comes out of the blue. Sometimes it can be just like a small conversation that you have with somebody, and then it just really, you have this massive realization because of it, which is actually a gorgeous energy, because whenever you have that, it means that you're ready for your next step, your next phase, your next personal evolution. And the Tower card can also be about big downloads of information. You see how the lightning strikes the crown of the tower? Well, in the Tarot de Marseille, the tower actually it's a tower with a crown being blasted off. And the name for this card in the Tarot de Marseille is La Maison de Dieu, which means the house of God. And I've always said that I believe human beings are the house of God. So when the lightning strikes, lightning, knowledge, intuition, power, magic, even if you want to call it, intense burst of energy or a download of information, touches the crown chakra, that universal connection that you have to the world. This is about big realizations. It's about awakening moments, ascension moments, moments, evolution moments. For some people, this can be really sudden and really shocking. For some people, this week may very well hold the key to your next step or your next personal evolution. And what that looks like is, very often you just start to identify less and less with things on people that you used to. And, you know, I think this week for some of you, it's going to be quite shocking as to what it is, or, you know, maybe even who it is that you're now ready to start moving beyond and phasing out. It's never really personal. You know, it's personal in the sense that it's you having this experience or going through it, but it's not personal in the sense that, you know, it's about them. I don't want to be around them anymore. For some people, maybe it is, but for the most part, when your energy lifts and elevates, you can't really be around, have, you know, or tolerate certain types of energy or people. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. It just means that you're moving on to the next stage of your own personal journey. So yes, shocking events, you know, revolutionary moments, maybe even moments of rebellion, you know, especially for those of you that have felt like you're stuck in any way, shape or form. This week could very much see you rallying and railing against anything that is too rigid or anything that's held you back in some way. Uranus is currently in Taurus, so this is about changing your environment, changing your personal world. It's about changing all aspects of yourself that you know deep down are outmoded or outdated. And finally, the last meaning that I love about this card, it's the cracking of the illusion, right? Whenever an illusion cracks, you can't go back to being the same way that you were, because you already know the truth now. You've been awakened or enlightened in some way. So your direction card is the King of Wands. This is about you being seen, right? So whenever you get the King of Wands, it can be a fire sign male. So this would be a Leo, a Sagittarius, or an Aries. This is, you know, as a person. Doesn't necessarily have to be a man, but, you know, it is a king. So usually masculine energy. That's not to say that it couldn't be a woman. She could just be a very masculine or a very powerful or dominant woman, you know, so swings and roundabouts. Anyway, right, your King of Wands, fun, vibrant, feisty. The beauty of the King of Wands is he knows how to laugh. He has a good sense of humor. The shadow side of that, if you like, is that sometimes this person can be a bit of a big kid, right? So the urge to tell you to break out of things is really real, but also the urge to tell you not to throw the baby out with the bathwater is also really real, right? The other part of this is the King of Wands is very much a representative of the Emperor, and this really asks you not only to be in your own power and be present, but to understand that your decisions are and can be sometimes under scrutiny. In many ways, it looks like we're all kind of being looked to. How are they going to do this? How are they going to traverse this? How is this person going to go through this experience? And what can I learn from that? I guess what I'm trying to say is this week, all of us in some way, shape or form, we're going to be on the hot seat. We're going to be in the spotlight. We're going to be seen. And how you behave under pressure, how you behave when the spotlight is on you really tells a lot about your character, right? And that's kind of just the way of it. Now, as a direction card or as an experience, what this is basically saying to us is you need to be comfortable with being seen. And this is one of the things very often nowadays I hear so many people say, oh, you know, I want to make it big, or I want to do this, or I want to be out there. And are you ready for that? Are you ready for the scrutiny that comes with it? Are you ready for the consistent questions and answers that are going to be expected of you? You know, and these are the parts, this is where you need to pave the way. So it's all well and good that you're ready to break out of certain situations, but are you ready to encompass or accept all of the moments that, you know, that can bring challenges your way? So what do I mean by that? If you're about to upset the apple cart in your personal life, me being an Aquarius, I will say, rock on. I love it. Go for it. Because that's me, right? That's my inner rebel coming out. But you have to be not be careful, you have to be prepared. if you're going to rock the apple cart, you've got to be prepared for the fact that some of those apples are going to spill, that somebody's going to complain about the apples that are spilling out, and that some people might just not like that you're breaking out of a shell. Remember, people can only ever really deal with you from their own point of reference, and however that fits towards or around you in your life or with you, this kind of, I mean, for me, it very often looks like when you start to change, if that person's not ready to change, it's easier to hold you back or bring you down than it is to either do that work for themselves or assist you in some way. So when I say be prepared to come under scrutiny, it's in all senses and all manners. Interestingly enough, the King of Wands as a fire sign male, so if somebody had a Leo ascendant, I will say no more on that front. So very, very interesting indeed. With that said, let's have a look at the insight card. What is the energy that's coming in or permeating? And this week it is the Hanged Man, right? So, I mean, this is a really interesting card, given the sort of very energetic and dynamic cards that are coming through here. Your insight card is basically kind of the energy that's behind the scenes, or the energy that's about to come in. The Hanged Man is very often about stillness, patience, waiting. Sometimes it can be literally just hanging around, when it gets really literal. But it's also a card of deep spirituality. For some of you, this is going to be about really powerful spiritual downloads, really deep insights into your own life path, into your own experiences, into your own existence. There could be an air this week where you're just kind of, and I said this for Pisces for the whole of February, but there could be this air this week where you really are just kind of in your own bubble. And there's nothing wrong with that, because all the while, when you think about a caterpillar, right, they're in their little cocoon, but there's a lot going on underneath the surface. And this could very well be the same for everybody this week. And if you look at him, although he's hung upside down with with his hands and his legs in all kinds of positions, look at his face. He's completely serene, and also he's got the halo. Sometimes you really do need to go within. Sometimes you maybe even, and not necessarily withdraw, but sometimes you need to separate what is other people's stuff from what is your own stuff in order to figure out what you really resonate with and who you really resonate with. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is really a week for you to be very selective about what and who you associate with. This is really a week for you to delve into how you feel in your interactions with certain people. How is it that their energy affects you? And ultimately, what is your outlook when you are surrounded by said people? When it comes to spiritual downloads, when it comes to awakening or ascensioning symptoms, moments, experiences, some of these could come on very suddenly for some of you. You might not even be expecting it. You may be in, it might be the most inopportune moment. I've had that, maybe just sat on a bench, watching the world go by, and then when somebody sits next to you, you get this sort of info overload of things that you should say to them, and you're like, but I don't know this person and I'd rather not. Yeah, it's happened to me. Sometimes, and also sometimes you're not necessarily ready for the information that comes through. Sometimes it's not about anybody else, it's about you. And when you get that download of information, it's like, okay, so what do I do with this? Well, what do you do with it? What does the Hanged Man do? He doesn't rail and sort of say, oh, look at me, I'm hung upside down by one leg. He just says, okay, this is the situation that I'm in. I understand how I got here, but now that I have this new information, I know where to go from here. The new information, look at that, and I talked about the crown, right? The lightning. I mean, I just saw that and I was like, yeah, okay. So there is a big illumination on a personal level coming for all of us in some way, shape or form. Pay attention to your inner senses this week. Pay attention to all of your physical senses this week as well. This could be a week of very high, intense energy. It could, because Uranus there, it's got the nervous system association. This could be a week where you kind of undulate between sort of like, yeah, fucking let's smash all the old stuff in our lives, And then on the next minute you could be like, and zen. Do you know what I mean? And allow yourself to go through that, but find a baseline in between those two feelings. Find a baseline between, and I'll give you an example. You think about the King of Wands as a ruler, right? This is somebody that knows how to direct all of their energy. It's somebody that knows how to make good choices. It's somebody that knows how to utilize humor when it's right, when it's appropriate, when it's needed, sometimes when it's inappropriate, if you're me. I am that person. I'm that annoying person that when everything gets too serious and you could cut the air with a knife, I will just throw something really random out there, and it's usually just to dissipate that sort of heavy, intense energy. I've said it before and I've said it again, and I will keep saying it throughout this whole entire year. Your sense of humor this year is going to be vital for getting you through pretty much everything. All right, so that's what I've got for you this week. I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic week. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. If you see any of this play out on the wider world stage, also please let me know. I love seeing these little validations that you guys send me, because it's just kind of like, wow, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This looks like it's going to be a big week for all of us on the internal plane, and I think a lot of it is going to be welcome once we kind of figure out what it means for us. All right, take care. I'll see you soon.